In today's video of our adventure to the Goshute Cave, we're going to do things a little bit differently. We aren't going to show you the exact way to get to this cave because that is part of the adventure. But we will give you a hint. It is on the border of the Goshute Wilderness Area. The Goshute Cave is located in eastern Nevada, and it's about a 1-hour drive from the town of Ely. If you are coming from the town of Ely, do not follow the Google Map directions. It will take you on a very wild adventure, including some water crossings like this where we almost got stuck a few times. We actually ended up spending several hours trying to find the caves, but one of the cool things was that we got to drive alongside wild horses. Even though we aren't giving the exact directions to the cave, we will say this: if you're on a 2-lane wide dirt road, you're going the right way. If you are going the right way, there are only 2 obstacles that you should encounter. Possibly some cows blocking the road, and a stout little climb that will take you up to the trailhead. The cameras didn't really do a great job of capturing how steep this climb is. We would definitely say that high clearance is recommended because there are some bumps and rocks in the road along the way. Eventually we made it to the top and found ourselves at a nice sized parking lot. At the trailhead you will find a map of the Goshute Cave system. Unfortunately, it has been deteriorated after years of sitting out in the sun. You may have thought that the drive-in was the trickiest part of this adventure, but you may change your mind when you find out that you will be climbing over 600 feet in less than half a mile to get up to the cave. Shoes with a good amount of traction will make your life much easier here, but even with grippy shoes, you still have to deal with a lot of loose dirt and shale along the climb. Along the way you will have this cave opening to inspire you to keep going, but just note this isn't the actual Goshute Cave. It is, however, directly next to it. The grand finale of the climb is this extremely steep portion that has a rope to assist you. As with any time that you're encountering random ropes in the wild, we definitely would not recommend putting your full weight on it. Just use it to help you keep your balance. Here we are arriving at the first cave on the right. Although as you can see, it is massive and it gives you this great photo op. This cave is actually quite tiny when you compare it to the real Goshute Cave. To get to the actual cave, you'll be shimmying your way across this ledge and looking for a much smaller and less impressive opening. You will know you found it when you see the markings for Goshute Cave. Unfortunately, there are some paintings on the wall in here, but some of them actually do help with directions. We did our best to reconstruct the map of the cave. Unfortunately, some of the names were just too degraded to read. But between the video and our memory, this is what we came up with. There are so many different ways that you can go when you enter this cave, but we ended up going from left to right. If you would like to view or even save this map, head over to our website, 𝐈𝐍𝐅𝐻.com. One thing that's important to note is that this cave is home to bats. If you encounter them while you're there, please do your best to keep your voices down and don't shine your lights on them. Almost as soon as you come through the main entrance, the room is going to open up and you'll find this podium that has a booklet on how to visit caves properly and a guest book. As I mentioned before, we would be exploring this cave from left to right, so our first stop was going to be the dance hall. If you are claustrophobic, there are probably going to be some rooms along the way that will not make you too happy. Usually these sections are short and they open right back up to bigger rooms, but there were even a couple of spots where I said, no, that's okay, you go ahead, and V went and explored them on her own. There are a lot of low ceilings in here, so it's really important that you bring a helmet. I can't tell you how many times both of us banged our heads, but at least we had some helmets on. Another thing that is extremely important to bring is 3 different light sources with extra batteries for each of them. There are over 4,000 feet of passages down here, and it would be pretty tricky trying to find the exit if you had to find it in the dark. We are now in the dance hall, which is a massive room with towering ceilings. There are all sorts of different cave formations down here, and if you decide to visit, please do us a favor and respect the cave. This of course means practicing leave no trace principles, as well as doing your best not to damage any of the formations inside. It was pretty wild because I think for the vast majority of the time in the cave, we were the only ones there, so we got to have this really unique Indiana Jones-like experience. Behind the dance hall, there is another very tall room, and it's called Robber's Roost. This whole section was really incredible, and it was probably one of our favorite parts of the entire cave. Many of the walls in Robber's Roost are covered in this cave popcorn, and it's interesting because it almost seemed to sparkle a little bit when you shined your light on it. Robber's Roost is a dead end, so once you're done exploring there, you will need to cut back through the dance hall to head towards the entrance again. After we made our way back towards the main cave, we curved off to the left. This is kind of optional. You can always stay in the main channel to be in a bigger room. Curving off to the left will take you through much smaller passageways, but it is really fun to explore. The one thing that we didn't bring on this adventure that I really wish we would have was some knee pads. There was a fair amount of crawling on some pretty rocky surfaces, and it would have made things much more comfortable. The other thing that we did bring, which was really important, is gloves. The oil in our skin can be very damaging to these cave formations, so it's really important that you don't touch them with your bare skin. We both did our best not to touch anything at all, but sometimes you do need to grab onto something to help you keep your balance. At this point, we still had the opening of the cave in sight, but we came to a small room that had some formations like we had never seen before. I'm not exactly sure what professional cavers call it, but V and I called these marshmallow rooms, and there are a couple of them here. Depending on what type of caving you like to do, there is a little bit of something for everyone here. The good thing is that if you tend to be a little bit on the claustrophobic side, which I can be at times, you can just stick to a lot of the larger rooms, which you can access by going right inside the main entrance. That is what we will be doing next as we make our way towards the Devil's Slide. There is still one somewhat tight section, but for the most part, you should be able to stand up almost the whole way. One thing that you definitely need to be careful of on the right side is that there is no lack of moisture over here. There are some downhill sections here, and when you add a little bit of moisture, it gets pretty slippery. Once you reach the Devil's Slide, you'll see a long hill that drops way down into the cave. There are also some really cool offshoots here. Some of them are tiny though. I took one look at this little opening here and said there is no way that I'm getting in there. Luckily V made it through with no problems though, and she was able to get some footage of this really unique texture on the roof in that other room. After V got back from that tight squeeze, we found another cool marshmallow wall before dropping even further into the cave. As you work your way down the Devil's Slide, you will come to a formation on the left known as the Fountain. This formation is very appropriately named because if you look at it, it kind of looks like one of those chocolate fountains. There is a room directly behind the fountain that has another V-sized squeeze in it. This had another marshmallow room on the other side of it, and it also had more chambers. These chambers do go on for quite a ways, but V made a very wise choice by not attempting it all by herself. I do have to say that rope looks kinda sketchy. If you do go down that rope though, it will take you to a spot known as the Grand Room, and I have to say I'm kinda curious to see what it looks like. Continuing on down past the fountain, you will come to the President Wilson Room. This is where you will really have to start watching out for those slippery floors because it is pretty wet down here. Even though we ended up spending about 3 hours exploring the cave, we did not get to see every inch of it. As we dropped down the hand line, we saw some chambers on the right and decided to go that way. This will take you to more areas with fairly low ceilings. I wouldn't quite say claustrophobia inducing, but there are some tight squeezes. Back here you will find yet another cool marshmallow room, and there's another chamber back here known as prison. Sounds delightful. Some of the names of the features and the rooms made sense, but I'm not exactly sure how this became the President Wilson Room. If you have any information on this or other interesting facts about the Goshute Cave, feel free to let us know in the comments below because we always love to learn. And if you love really big caves, you should check out our video about the Carlsbad Caverns. You can see that one by clicking in the upper corner. After a nice long exploration of the caves, we decided that it probably would be a good idea to start heading back towards the entrance. Neither of us were really wanting to attempt that climb back down to the car in the dark. As much as we don't like graffiti in the caves, I will admit that the red arrows painted on the walls in certain spots did help us find our way back towards the entrance. I am definitely not going to lie when I say that it is extremely easy to get disoriented down here. If you're the kind of person that gets turned around really easily, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's probably a good idea to go with a group of people who have a good sense of direction. Even though V and I typically do have a good sense of where we're going, there were a couple of points where both of us were like, wait, did we come from this way or that way over there? But luckily V and I did manage to escape the cave, and we also did it with plenty of daylight left to help us climb back towards the car. I will say that this down climb does feel quite a bit sketchier on the way down than it did on the way up. And you're really going to want to take your time going down all of these loose rocks. V and I both ended up slipping several times while down climbing, but luckily none of the falls were catastrophic. If you are already in the area to check out the Goshute Cave, we also highly recommend stopping by Cathedral Gorge State Park. It has some really neat slot canyons and hiking trails, and you can see our complete guide to it by clicking in the upper corner. And that is going to do it for our adventure inside the Goshute Cave. Do you know of any other awesome caves? If so, let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because that really helps out the channel. If you have recommendations for future videos, let us know. And for all the information about the Goshute Cave as well as other awesome Nevada adventures, head on over to livethatadventure.com.